We have got another cool necklace demo for you guys today that I'm really excited to show you. Y'all are gonna love it. We're going to be using those pearls, and we're going to be using the turquoise seed beads, and then we're going to be using some of the paper clip chain, and we're going to use 24 gauge wire here. As far as our tools, we're going to use a flush cutter, a chain nose plier, a round nose plier, and my favorite thing ever, my wire straightener or my nylon jawed plier. Let's get started. First thing we are going to do is we're going to cut a piece of 24 gauge wire. So I'm going to use like about 6 inches of wire here, 6 to 8 inches of wire. As usual, I cut more than I need, but that's okay. So we're gonna cut ourselves some wire here. And then we're gonna make our little curly Q down at the bottom that I do sometimes in place of a bead stopper. I just need a little nub on the end of that's going to keep my seed beads from falling off. And then we're going to string several inches of seed beads. So I've already got a lot of this strung, but I'm going to just do a couple more here while I've got y'all. One thing I like to do when I'm stringing seed beads, if I'm doing them by hand and not using the bead spinner, is kind of curl up the end into like a little bit of a hook shape, like that. And then it makes it easier to just kind of go in and grab some seed beads, and then you can just flip them up like that. And then they drop down on that little hook, and they don't fall off as easily as they do if you just have like a straight piece of wire. So this is one of the ways that I string lots of seed beads really fast if I'm not going to use my bead spinner. All right, so now we are ready to drop our pearl on here. And the pearl's going to slide right over all these seed beads, which I love. I've done a couple demos similar to this. I've made a couple different types of earring styles. This would work really well as earrings too. So if you want to make a set, this is a great set. You guys, I'm going to curl the other end of my wire too, so that my seed beads don't slide off that end. Just make myself another little curly Q. Leave myself a little bit of room on my wire down at the end. So I've got like an inch and a half of wire, and then I'm going to push these seed beads kind of tight down onto each other and pull this into a loop, making sure that I've got an even amount of seed beads on either side. It looks like I got a little more on one side than I do on the other. So I'm just going to pull those seed beads up together at the top here. And like I said, making sure we don't have a bunch of gaps in our seed beads and they're pulled nice and tight. And then we're just going to give this a twist just to kind of stabilize that. And now we're going to take this little short piece of wire, that extra piece, and I'm just going to wrap this a couple times. And it tries to move on you, or your wire tries to rotate. So you got to kind of figure out the best way to hold it that's going to keep your wire from just twisting around. And then I know I strung too many seed beads, but that's okay. I'd rather have too many and I can put them back in the the container than have to stop what I'm doing and string more seed beads. So we've got a couple wraps up there with the short end of our wire, and I'm just going to clip that off there. And now I'm going to drop the remainder of my seed beads down, And then I am going to grab a piece of my paper clip chain. So we're gonna slide that paper clip chain down on there like this. And I am going to just bring these section of seed beads, and see, I didn't use all those seed beads. I had way too much, but that's okay. I'm gonna make this just a little bit smaller here. This is a scenario where I'm gonna really look at proportion. So I've got kind of like, and I'm gonna reshape that a little bit, but I've got a bigger section of seed beads there, and then I've got this big long paper clip chain here. So I wanna do something like quite different in size between those two. So I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit. So now I've got my little loop made here up there at the top, and it's all, the shape is all wonky right now, so don't worry about that. And then I'm gonna take this wire and I'm just gonna wrap kind of loosely, not too loosely, but we're gonna wacky wrap this a little bit. And I'm gonna cut these seed beads off because it's too many and now it's in my way. Okay. So I've got some straightening up to do, but that's kind of, and you can make that section as bulky as you want, but that was another thing, another area to look at for proportion and kind of balance. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go in with my chain nose pliers or my round nose pliers, and I'm just gonna make sure that I like my shapes here, and like I'll press my round nose plier in there and get that rounded out. And then I will use my, not too hard with your pliers because you don't want to break any seed beads. Make sure that things are facing the way you want them to face, and that they're shaped the way you want them to face. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, I had a little piece of smaller chain, and I'm gonna drop that in to my paper clip chain like this. Actually, I think I'm gonna do a little knot there. So I'm gonna take this out so that it faces the right way. So I'm gonna fold this chain in half, drop this down, and then I will pull both of those pieces of chain through there. Like that. Let me put it on this neck so that you guys can see it. I would prefer not to have that little knot there, and so I could do a jump ring, or I could just kind of let it sit sideways. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like that, so I'm gonna take that off. Okay, let me undo this knot if I can. Ugh, dropping things. Okay, I'm gonna undo this. And then we're just gonna let it do its thing. I'm just gonna string this on here. See, I think that knot was too distracting. I think it took away from the overall piece. But as you wear this, and if it hangs down a little bit lower, this is going to stop turning and face the right way. Hold on, let me do something real quick. I've got my loop a little crooked, so it's not doing what I want it to do. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to turn my loop, my top loop of seed beads, I want that to be parallel with my bottom loop of seed beads like this. So I've got that, like that. Isn't that cute? I don't know which one I like better. I like both of them. I think they're both really cool. And you can obviously, you can expand this, or you can blow it up, or you can shrink it down, whatever whatever style you like. But you know, the more seed beads you use, you know, the bigger you can make each of those seed bead sections, or you can shrink it down really tight and make this small little pendant section. But I thought it was a really good way to utilize seed beads. Thank you guys for joining me here today. Again, bye-bye.